and potato ink all at the same motherfucking time. Damn, dude, 6 million with these seeker mines. That's not bad. $5.9. Oh, they're not fighting. Okay.
Target is here.
Take him out, Agent.
Target. Grenade. Hostile civilian target.
My fuck? Nope. Sorry, did I have a bunch of my health back? Oh, yeah.
No good.
Agent vital signs 0.
Enemy is approaching.
Once you clear the exterior, do a thorough pass on the first concourse.
What's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you guys need to be. Today, we're going to be going back to the roots. The original set of videos that I made when the channel first started was doing explosive builds using the cluster mines, and at the time, the Bombardier Drone, because it was phenomenally powerful back then. Unfortunately, it's basically the worst of all our explosive skills now, but it did have its day of former glory. But that being said, I want to get into a comprehensive guide for the explosives, and that being said, we're going to go through how to best build for damage as well as to build for actual group play and to sustain your skills. So hopefully I will break this down into the proper categories. There should be timestamps down below, so you guys should be able to skip around to whatever you may need to find. I know this will be a pretty long guide, but the explosives are really near and dear to my heart. And of all the skill builds in the game, I believe the explosive builds, when done right, can put up substantially more DPS than any other type of skill builds in the game. The problem is it's really situational where you could use them, as you will see in some of the background gameplay. Even when it's not your fault, things like this can happen. Dude, that's... Okay, I did not move my... Yeah, so that being said, you know, it's just all about situational awareness and being able to play to your specific circumstances. If you guys learn something new or you get some quality entertainment out of this, a like would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this, I will have earned your guys subscriptions. Best thing you do to help my channel is to share this video. And anything you guys would do different, any comments you have, or anything you would like to see in the future, please leave it down below. All right, agents, without further ado, let's break down explosives. All right, so first off, we're going to talk about the specialization. The only specialization that is specifically for explosives is, of course, the Demolitionist. This will net us up to 10% bonus explosives damage. And just to note really quick, explosive damage is a separate multiplier to the skill damage. So anytime you could squeeze explosive damage in, you're going to want to. As you guys will see, we only have 3 main sources to boost our explosive damage. So you want to take advantage of all of those, one of them being this explosive ordnance. Now also, my favorite skill after the cluster mines is the artillery turret, and we get access to that via the Demolitionist. This will also open up access to the fragment grenade, which in addition to the explosion causes a bleed to the enemies. If you're grouped up, your teammates will gain 5% bonus damage to targets out of cover. You will gain access to the absolutely necessary Brace for Impact perk, which will allow you to ignore 1 explosion every 60 seconds. Oftentimes, this will be your own explosion. And lastly, while we will not be focusing on weapon damage in this build, it does give you access to the small laser pointer. This will give you 7% crit hit chance. All right, agents, next, let's talk about the weapons. As always, I recommend you guys use whatever archetype of weapon is your favorite, whatever you get the best experience out of. That being said, there are some weapons that synergize very well with this explosives build. Now, our primary weapon, as I'm sure any of you can guess, the maximum damage we're going to get is using the capacitor and ramping those stacks up to 40. That will net us 60% additional skill damage. Additionally, because we're using the Demolitionist and we will have 6 skill tier natively, that means we will get 45% weapon damage out of this as well. So your capacitor will hit pretty darn hard in this build. Now, if you don't have the capacitor for any other reason you don't want to run that, you can choose to run the test subject or the harmony, and these two will give you access to perfectly in sync. This will net you up to a 40% bonus to both your skills and your weapon damage. And this has basically an instantaneous proc time, so you can get your burst damage up a little bit quicker, although it does not get your damage quite as high as you will get with the capacitor. Lastly, to my original point, choose any weapon that you prefer to use and use the normal in sync, and this will net you up to 30% bonus to your weapon and skill damage. Now let's talk about secondary weapons. My number 1 pick for a secondary weapon will be the mop, and that's simply because we can use that armor on kill as our primary source of armor recovery. You can, of course, spec into it in the minor attributes with the armor per second, but this is one of my preferred methods. Plus, it comes with the armor damage on it, so this will buff our cluster mines and our artillery turret as well. I will tend to roll the normal in sync onto this. That gives me the access to that 30% bonus weapon and skill damage, and it's very easy to proc and helps to get that armor on kill. Now, if you're not having problems with survivability or you just want to run something other than the mop, you can opt for the lefty or the stage left. This will give you access to the perfect sledgehammer perk, and this will allow you to add up to 40% damage to armor and 30% reduced movement speed to a group of enemies. And this is a bonus that is effective for yourself and a group. The last thing I may consider for my secondary weapon would be something like the Surge for the perfect spike. If you're doing legendary content and you feel like you're a bit squishy, this might be the better perk because you could pop out of cover, get 1 headshot, and you have 27 seconds of that damage bonus. It's an easier way of getting a damage bonus, albeit it's a smaller damage bonus than some of the others, but it's quite safer. Now, lastly, we will talk about the sidearm. There's 2 different sidearms I'd recommend using. First one is the backup boomstick. The second one is the card TDI custom. Now, a quick note about the card is if you elect to go with the card, you can elect to go with a weapon core or an armor core on one other piece of gear if you want to commit to holding the card in your hand all the time. That will allow access to skill tier 6 but still get you a little bonus armor or weapon damage. Now, as far as the different perks, you could go for Future Perfect if you want to have an overcharge. You could go with In Sync on it. You could go with Sledgehammer. You could go with Spike. You know, you could even go with Flatline if you're going to be running in a group. If somebody else is providing a pulse for you, Flatline could be a cool perk too. Now, 2 other quick notes on the weapons. You can elect to use an LMG with In Sync on it. Not only will this allow you to get that 30% weapon damage and skill damage boost, but LMGs can come with both damage to targets out of cover as well as damage to armor on it, so you can kind of double dip into some of the other bonuses that can help to bump the damage of your skills. And lastly, there's the Merciless, which does proc an explosion, and so this build can help to buff the damage of the Merciless, although I just don't feel like it has enough bang for the buck to really make it worth running, especially when you could use the capacitor instead. All right, agents, so now we're going to talk about the gear and the brand sets. So I'm going to quickly mention the gear set, and then we're going to move on, and the reason why is arguably the best explosive build in the game is to just run some variation like our Stinker CQC build, the Stinker Close Quarter Combat, which is linked right up here, and that build really hasn't changed in a long time. The Stinker CQ is simply 4 pieces of hardwire utilizing the backpack, a China-like chest piece. We use glass cannon. There's a myriad of different options you have there. We're going to talk about the chest talents in a minute. And then it uses the waveform. We use the Stinger Hive in combination with the cluster mines, and that way, basically every 10 seconds, we can drop our Stinger Hive, get our cluster mines back, and throw them. So we have the offensive capabilities of the cluster mines. We always have our Stinger Hive ready and available for defensive / offensive capabilities in close quarters, and it's just, the build really works easy. It still works just as good as it ever has. The damage it puts out is a tiny bit less, but due to the hardwire, you're going to have your skills basically all the time. And this is a much more effective build to run, and since we already have the build guide on it, I'll let you guys check that out. We're going to get into explaining about the rest of explosives, and I will break down a few other quick builds. So what we really need to look at is the brand sets that work towards buffing our explosives damage. So there's 2 different brand sets that will give us the brand set bonus to explosives. China Light, we simply need 1 piece bonus, and it's a 15% explosive damage bonus. So this is huge, and you're going to want a China Light in every explosive build that you have. If you happen to have a 2nd piece of China Light, it'll give you the skill haste. You'll see why this is important later. The other brand set that will give us access is the explosives damage is the Grupo Sombra. 1 piece will net us the critical hit damage. So that's cool, 15%, not a bad buff, but that's weapon damage, something we're not too concerned with overall. However, the 2nd piece bonus will net us 15% explosives damage. So that means between Grupo Sombra and China Light, we have 30% explosive damage, and then from the explosive ordnance of the Demolition and Specialization, we get another 10%. So we now have 40% explosive damage bonus, and this will be multiplicative with all of the skill damage that we have. So we now are looking at 3 pieces of gear sets. 1 piece of China Light, 2 pieces of Grupo Sombra. Now, you can get skill damage out of Wyvern. 1 piece of Wyvern will give you 10% skill damage. You have Hana Yu, 2 pieces will get you the skill haste and then the skill damage. However, if we run with 3 pieces of Empress International, we'll get the skill health, okay, skill damage, awesome, and then skill efficiency. And the skill efficiency is what we're aiming for because it gives us the skill damage, duration, haste, status effects, ubiquitously everything that has to do with skills, skill efficiency is helping us with. So we're aiming for 1 piece China Light, 2 piece Grupo Sombra, 3 pieces of Empress International. That has been the best build for a long time now. Well, let's talk about the easy part of this is Empress International always comes as skill tier. China Light always comes as skill tier. Very easy. Grupo Sombra comes as weapon damage. So what we needed to do was wait and try to get a piece that rolled natively with a bunch of skill damage on it, if not maximum, so that we could then roll the weapon core into skill tier. So get 2 pieces of Grupo Sombra could be a little bit challenging. You know, it wasn't too tough, but it can be a struggle, especially if RNG wasn't working for you. Well, luckily, guys, along came the Ninja Bike. Before getting too much into the Ninja Bike and all the bonuses that we get using that and how much easier it makes it to gearing, I want to touch base on the chest talents and the backpack talents. So, the best chest talents we can look at. Well, first of all, since we need to use Empress International to get the 3-piece bonus, that means we can use the Caesar's Guard. This is the chest piece that gives us access to the perfectly skilled, and this means any skill kill has a 30% chance to reset our skills, and this is the way that we mitigate the long cooldown of our cluster mines. Now, it should also be noted that the bleed from the mortar or any bleed from any of your skills that kills an enemy does have a chance to proc skilled as well. Now, I will say, while we do less damage per shot with the skilled chest piece versus, say, glass cannon, the sustained damage that we have overall by the chances of having our skills automatically be reset, it substantially outweighs even the multiplicative damage bonus that we get from glass cannon, which leads to the next talent, glass cannon. This will multiply all damage we do by 25% at the cost of us taking 50% additional damage from every single source. So high risk, high reward sort of perk works great, but I think overall that the perfectly skilled is the better choice. Lastly, and a perk that would depend on your teammates would be Spotter. Spotter can get you a 15% amplified damage bonus. However, you will need a teammate to be able to pulse enemies for you. Otherwise, you would not be taking advantage of that perk. For the backpack, we got 2 perks that we'll be looking at. The first one is tech support. This is 25% bonus once we get a skill kill. The issue is you have to get a kill, so if you're fighting a single large enemy, a boss or something like that, you may not be able to proc that damage bonus. But once it's procced, it's 20 seconds long, so that's ample time to, in most cases, get an additional kill to reset the duration of tech support. If you don't prefer that and you like shooting your gun, you can of course go with combined arms. This will net you the same 25% bonus for 3 seconds, and you reapply it by, again, shooting an enemy. Alright, now let's quickly talk about exotics that you could use. Now, the Ninja Bike we have with the Resourceful perk will add a +1 bonus to every brand set. In addition, it also gives us a weapon core, an armor core, and a skill tier, much like the Memento, which is the next backpack we'll talk about, and one of the best, if not best, exotics in the game. This will give us a weapon core, an armor core, a skill tier, and as you kill enemies, they will drop trophies. Picking up these trophies will give you a myriad of different benefits, from weapon damage to armor regen to bonus armor to skill efficiency. So a great backpack right here. And continuing on with the saga of the backpacks, you have Acosta's. This will give you a skill tier. This gives you a whole bunch of inventory, extra grenades, extra med kits, bonus skill damage, status effects. And once every 60 seconds, you could toss a grenade, which will proc an overcharge for you. So this is one of the easiest, if not the easiest overcharge to proc. It will refund the grenade, and it can just be used to some cool effect this way. The Costas is legit. It's just, I think it's outshined by both the Memento and definitely the Ninja Bike, which we'll get more into. Lastly, if you don't have any of these backpacks, you could use the waveform. However, I will say if you were going to choose to use the waveform, I would almost go with no exotics and simply go with the 1 China Light, 2 Grupo Sombra, 3-piece Empress International. Now let's quickly talk about the attributes and the mod slots for the gear. Obviously, you're going to want skill damage on every piece of gear, except for the exotics if you're going with the Memento and the Ninja Bike, as instead of the skill damage, you're going to get the weapon core, the armor core instead. After skill damage, this is really going to be your choice. I feel like skill haste is a bit higher priority than the armor per second. However, this can be mitigated with skilled. So you may want to prioritize armor per second over skill haste. And duration is not terrible. However, we don't need any duration for our cluster mines. And a lot of times we're going to be taking our turret down. We're not going to be leaving it in the same spot all the time. So duration is not terrible, but it's definitely not needed in this build. Now, after that, you may choose to just get some crit hit chance, crit hit damage, just to give you some more pow when you're actually firing your weapon. If you're not going to go with the hardwire gear set or some sort of gear set, if we're going to go with the high-end build, what is the best build? Until recently, it absolutely was the 1 China Light, 2 Grupo Sombra, 3-piece Empress International. And with the introduction of the Ninja Bike, there's a lot of these builds that it's been creating some new cool combinations, but the Ninja Bike has yet to really bump any build up to the next level. We finally have it with the EOD original boom build, and that's because what it allows us to do is, first of all, we do not need to find that second perfect piece of Grupo Sombra. Get 1 piece of Grupo Sombra, 1 piece of China Light. We're now going to talk about all the explosive skills that we have access to. Every single skill now does more base damage. First of all, we have the explosive sticky bomb. This, just like it says, it's a sticky bomb. You fire it out, boom, blow something up. With our OG boom build, we were able to hit 5.88 million damage. With the new Ninja Bike boom build, we were able to hit over 5.9 million. Next explosive skill we have is the Shrapnel Trap. This will lay out a bunch of traps on the ground. When enemies step on them, they will first be hit with the explosive. They will then bleed after that. These are incredibly powerful, and almost nothing can survive the shrapnel traps. When I was doing some bleed testing, it was hard for me to test the bleed on them because everything was just dying. The downside of the shrapnel traps is once you place them, they're kind of stuck where they are. However, if you're using skilled and you're able to get your cluster mines or whatever other skill you are to proc skilled, then you can blow up your mines, get them right back. So shrapnel traps are pretty cool, high explosive. And the original boom build gave us 2.8 million damage as the base and 2.82 million. Next, we got the mortar, aka the artillery turret that we only get access to via the Demolitionist. This is a mortar that causes an explosive. It will arc towards your enemies. This is probably the most dangerous skill for us from the entire arsenal because, well, again, this. Dude, that's... Okay, I did not move my... Yeah, so... But that being said, it is also one of the most effective weapons in the entire arsenal, as it not only creates explosion, but creates a substantial bleed as well, both of which can proc our skill. In the OG Boom version, we were looking at 3.86 million base damage. We're looking at 3.88 million as the Ninja Boom variant. Now next, we all love it, the Stinger Hive. So this will send out drones that do initial explosive damage followed by a bleed. Our initial explosive damage from the OG Boom was 1.125 million. Moving into the Ninja Boom build, we upped that to 1.134 million. Next, we'll talk about 2 skills that I very rarely see used unless there's some sort of event going on. The Burster and the Demolitionist Firefly. Both of these do explosive damage. The Burster to enemies when it attaches and they get close and it detonates. Demolisher, sorry. The Demolisher Firefly actually aims for weak points and destroys those. Sometimes killing the enemy, sometimes not, depending on the type of weak point destroyed. Needless to say, these both got a big boost to their damage bonus as well with the Ninja Boom versus the old school OG. Next, we got our explosive seeker mine. This is a single large seeker mine that will create a large explosion and then a bleed afterwards. The explosive seeker was putting out 4.77 million in the OG base form and 4.8 million in our new Ninja Bike variant. Next, everybody's tried and true favorite or your least favorite if you're a weapon build and you just hate dudes throwing cluster seeker mines everywhere, but the cluster seeker mines. We can throw out up to 10 of these mines. These cluster mines moved from 3.57 million in the OG boom form up to almost 3.6 million in the Ninja Bike form. And this moves us on to the black sheep of the entire explosive build realm. And coincidentally, one of the very first skills I used, our beloved Bombardier Drone. So the Bombardier Drone is out of favor. It's hard to use. It has a long cooldown. And if they were to double the base damage of the Bombardier Drone, I would try to start using it in builds. But the problem is right now, it does not kill things when it should. It doesn't kill things that my cluster seeker mines are killing. So that's a huge issue. That being said, we were able to hit 2.46 million per bomb in our OG form and 2.475 in the new Ninja Bike build. So now let's just quickly talk about what are the actual pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages of using our full high-end build versus the new Ninja Boom variant. So the first thing that we notice is that by using the Ninja Bike, we lose out on the backpack talent, which will be a 25% bonus, whether it's tech support or whether it's combined arms. That is taken out of the equation. Coincidentally, that is just about as much damage as we end up gaining by being able to add in a Wyvern or a Hana U piece when we utilize the Ninja Bike build. So it's actually not a substantial loss right there. So what do we gain then? If we lose a backpack talent, what do we gain? Well, the main thing that we gain is the fact that we are getting the 10% skill haste that we wouldn't otherwise get from the China Light. Since we're using the Hana U, we get the 10% skill haste, so that's 20% skill haste we now have using that combination, but we then also get that 10% skill damage. So we lose 25% skill damage from a talent that we have to proc, and we gain 20% skill haste and 10% skill damage. Now overall, so what are the pros of running the Ninja Bike? Well, the main pro right out the gate is the ease of gearing, considering that we need to get a Grupo Sombra that comes natively with skill damage maxed out or close to it so we can optimize it. To roll the skill tier, we only need one piece instead of two that we need with the full high-end build. That right there is probably the easiest advantage. Second of all, we gain a bonus weapon and armor core, so we gain a little bit more survivability while gaining weapon damage. And the other advantage we have is we get access to that bonus 20% skill haste that we otherwise wouldn't get. Now, in most of my builds, I'm focusing on that perfectly skilled to mitigate cooldowns anyway, but if RNG is not on our side, that 20% skill haste is really going to become effective, and it then allows us to free up some of those mod slots if we don't want to use skill haste to add in some armor on kill to help our overall survivability. What are the pros that I see of running the full high-end build over the Ninja Bike? I'll be honest, I don't see any. This is what I mean by this is finally the one build where I feel like this is best in slot. So, one argument, well, see, check it out. Even swapping out the Ninja Bike for the Memento, I don't think it's not going to make up for the loss that we're going to get from the brand sets doing that. So I 100% feel for explosive builds, unless you're going to go with the hardwire gear set, using the hardwire backpack for the short circuit and the feedback loop. The Ninja Boom is my new hands down favorite for the explosive build. Now, let's quickly talk about the cons of both of these, and these are going to be, what are the deficits of using explosive build? Number one is the ease of killing yourself. There's two different ways this can happen. One, of course, is our turret, our mortar. And then the second one is using one of the seekers or any of our explosions that goes off when we are in the vicinity will kill us. If we happen to be near our shrapnel traps and an enemy's near it and it goes off, we can kill ourselves. If a seeker mine, whether the clusters or the explosive seeker mine, is following an enemy and that enemy comes towards us, our own seeker mine can then kill us if we are within the radius of that blast. Second of all, the targeting can be really tricky, especially if you're at a lower elevation. Trying to target things up above, the mortar can be a huge pain in the ass. So you really need to be on the high ground as much as possible to take maximum advantage of this build, particularly around the targeting. I'm on console, and that it just exacerbates the problem that much more. And lastly, the one real downside that you may face is when RNG comes down where you just don't get skilled to proc and you're stuck with a long cooldown. And a lot of times the enemy seems to know when your skills are on cooldown and they will push right at that moment. And because we're using the explosive skills that can kill us, it's a huge detriment. We don't want to have the enemy right next to us when we're dropping our seeker mine because it might blow up right there on us. So that being said, my overall opinion, explosive builds are some of the most powerful builds, if not the most powerful builds in the game, but you have to have a mastery of quite a few elements of this game, as well as situational awareness, and you just need to avoid putting yourself into bad positions. And because of the way this game is set up with fake walls and not giving you the trajectory. It's funny, they'll give you a trajectory of your grenade, of certain other skills and stuff, but it doesn't give you the trajectory of your mortar turret, which can bounce one of your mortars right back at you and kill you instantly. Just food for thought. I know they're not going to fix it, but they could adjust that, and that'd be a lot better for us. But if you can get around these caveats and you can get good at using this build, there's very few builds that can eviscerate the enemies faster than this. Alright guys, so I know that this is a long video. This is a whole bunch of information. I appreciate you guys staying through it. I hope that I had the frame of mind to do timestamps down below so you guys can jump around. And hopefully I remembered to hit the majority, if not all of the key points. So do me a favor guys, hopefully by now, hopefully I've earned a like. Hopefully I've earned your guys' subscriptions. Best thing again you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And if I forgot anything, you guys have any comments, you guys have anything, any praises you want to give me for this, anything, leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys want to see next. All right, thank you so much, agents. Y'all be as safe as you need to be out there, and I will catch you all in the dark zone. Peace out, everybody. See ya. Oh man. Really? That's over anyway, but now we're just gonna do this. It's easier. He can come over here and just get his ass whooped. Alright, he's gonna be a very up about there.
Sending them out.
Incoming backup request.
Wait a second. Is there a fucking... Alright. This is going to be perfect. Oh, no, stop on that, dude. Yeah, we need it. All the big shit. Give this back. Oh, I don't need to shoot back. I need to shoot that. Absolutely. This is the best case scenario. But they really can't do shit. I really don't even need to buff my damage. That's insane. Oh yeah, rush me, bro. Oh, dude, did you really just walk up on me? Alright. Man, look at that. No, why would you do that, bro?
Serious trauma detected.
We're not dead yet.
Oh, dude, no. Come on. Oh, dude, that was fucking close, man. Alright, let's get some life back. We had to throw 2 armor kits. That's the first time in a long fucking time I throw that many armor kits.
Med UAV on approach.
Oh, they're not fighting. Okay.
Target is here. Can't take much more of it.
Let's do. We'll throw it up top because it's gonna wanna, yeah.
Hostile civilian target.
Oh, dude, did it not even go after him? Alright, we're gonna have to do it the good old-fashioned way. That's why glass cannon is good, because Actually makes us feel like we almost do some damage with our weapons. Oh, come on, dude.
Making good progress. Take it steady.
That was it? Second to last area.
Laptop detected.
Oh wow, dude. Fucking pickle it. Pickle and potato ink all at the same motherfucking time. Damn, dude, 6 million with these seeker mines. That's not bad. $5.9. It's because the, what's it called? You be able to shoot me in the hand? Alright, dude. Thank you. Stay right there. Or move. That's gonna hit me. That's alright.
System disrupted.
Bam. Gotta keep an eye on him. Oh, they sent us some drones. We could put out some solid damage. So let's try this. This is probably a dumb idea. I'm gonna try it anyway. Blow this up. Toss that. Oh no! Am I fucked? Nope. Sorry, got a bunch of my health back. Yep. And oh! Oh shit!
Area secure.
Oh
Good work.
yeah, buddy. This build's pretty awesome. Alright, let's check it out and then we'll yeah, well that's pretty much all there is to it. A little over 5 million damage we took. Yeah, this build is great as long as you're not in open areas where they can flank you. it's a liability then, but as long as you can keep them in confined quarters where they can't pass by your hive's radius, it's yeah, it's great. And what's it? So it's 10 meter radius, 10.4, pretty all right.